Hello, everyone. I hope you're enjoying a lovely Friday night because this is about to get scary. Well, today we are reading a very own book of my own. It's called Monster High, Hid Where Monsters Roam. It's by me, Luca Moulet. Monster High is based on the dolls created by Mattel. It, even though it's their own doll, it's their own. It's trademarked under their name. This is just fan fiction to me. I hope, which someday when I'm an adult, I hope that I can. I hope that one day this will be published. My, anyways, eh, anyways, I wrote this book last year, and I hope you all like it. So let's dive in, everyone. For my brothers Liam and Gabriel. Normal is relative. It's not how you look or what you do. It's how you feel about yourself. Well, I didn't feel that way before I settled in New Salem, Oregon. I didn't know that I would be accepted as a teacher in a school full of vampires, werewolves, and zombies. I know it sounds strange, but I found it as a fresh start. You might be wondering why mummies, skeletons, ghosts, and other monsters are going to school together. To me, there's a reason. My name is Charlotte, and recently I graduated from Teachers College last week. Last week I applied for a job as a high school teacher at 6 different schools, and one of them accepted my application. I was surprised that the school I applied to was a strange one. It was called Monster High. Mom, do you think I should accept this offer? I asked. Why, sure, sweetie. I mean, it might be a good place to start your teaching career, Mom said. Mom, I just graduated from college. I have nowhere to live in New Salem. Plus, there are rumors that the town is haunted, I said. I was feeling dubious about the job offer. Oh, you'll be fine, Mom said. Plus, you can live at your dad's place. I looked at her unconvinced. Come on, you haven't seen him since you graduated high school, Mom insisted. I guess it would be okay if I spent some time with him, I sighed. Mom smiled. That's my girl, she said as she pulled me in for a hug. I promised to call you every day, I said. I was worried. Moving to a new town was one thing, but moving to a town with a high school for monsters was way too much. Yeah, my parents got divorced when I was 15 years old. After the divorce, my dad moved to New Salem. I rarely saw him, but I still loved him. I packed up all my things in my room, placing them in my suitcases. I looked at the picture of me, my mom, and my dad. I was 8 years old in that picture. I smiled as a tear rolled down my cheek. I was really going to miss my mom. I put my bags in the car and I got in. Before I pulled out, my mom waved goodbye to me. Good luck with getting the job, sweetie, she called. Thank you, I called back, waving goodbye to Mom as I pulled out of the driveway. I pulled my car out of Mom's driveway and left my childhood home. I was kind of nervous. I had never met these types of kids before. Were they nice or were they actual monsters? It took all day to drive from Illinois to New Salem. When I finally arrived, I was amazed at the sight of the big city. That was chapter 1. Now it's time to read chapter 2. I was really excited about moving in with Dad. We had always hung out whenever I had visited him when I was in high school. When I arrived at his place, I pulled into the driveway. I saw him standing on the front porch. I got out of my car and ran to my dad. I missed you so much. I missed him so much. We both had dark brown hair and bluebell eyes. I opened my arms to give him a big hug. Charlie, it's great to see you, Dad cried as we hugged. I missed you so much, Dad, I said happily. Dad smiled as he looked at me. Come on now, I'll help you unpack your bags. Pumpkin, he said. We went inside and Dad showed me to my room upstairs. So Charlotte, any reason why you decided to come live with me? Dad asked. Yes, I said. I got offered a job as a teacher at Monster High. Dad's smile faded away. You mean the school near the old cemetery? He asked. Yes, that's the one, I answered. Dad looked worried. Dad, what's wrong? I asked. Nothing, he said. It's just that there have been some rather unusual things that that are happening near that school. Things like what? I asked. Well, I hear there's a witch that lives near the cemetery. They say she's always inside making strange inventions such as robots, Dad explained. Okay, anything else? I asked curiously. There are strange blackouts in the old power station, he continued. I was shocked at what he said, but I couldn't blame him. After all, this is New Salem, the most haunted place on Earth. Okay, I'll be careful, I said. Dad smiled once more. Now, to help you unpack, he said. After we packed my things, I had dinner with Dad. So when's your interview? He asked. Tomorrow, I replied. I hadn't even met the principal yet, so I was kind of nervous. Dad saw my worried expression and held my hand. Don't worry, you'll be fine. You've got this, he said. I looked back at him. Thanks, I said, feeling comfortable. After dinner, I went upstairs to bed. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing strange noises like clink, clank, clink, clank, and stomp, stomp, stomp. I tried to ignore the noises, but they just kept getting louder. Clink, clank, clink, clank. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I went downstairs and went to see where the noises were coming from. It wasn't coming from anywhere in the house. I was about to go back upstairs when suddenly I heard knocking at the door. I was starting to get scared. Hello? Are you home? A voice asked. Who's there? I asked, quivering. I know you're home. I saw you drive into the neighborhood by the power station. And your car is in the driveway, the voice said. I went to the door slowly. I grabbed the handle and slowly turned it. I opened the door slowly with fear. The door creaked a bit. When I opened it, I I saw the most strange yet horrific sight I had ever seen. Chapter 3. Standing in front of me was a girl who looked around 15 years old. She had mint green skin. She had a stitch on her right cheek. She had white hair with black streaks, and she had stitches on her arms, legs, and neck, and on each side of her neck was a bolt. She wore a black and white shirt with fishnets on her shoulders. She wore a tie, and her dress had plaid on it. Her right eye was blue, her left green. The way she dressed was of a schoolgirl fashion type. The weird part was that she was holding her left hand with her right and waving it. I screamed loudly, "Ah! Get away from me! Get away from me! Leave me alone, monster!" I cried. No. Shh, I'm nice, the girl whispered, trying to calm me down, but it wouldn't work. Dad! I called my dad. No. You need to calm down. I won't hurt you, the girl whispered. At long last, I was able to calm myself down. She didn't look vicious. Well, I'm Charlotte Peterson. I introduced myself. Do you want to come inside? I asked the girl. Sure, she answered. When we went inside, I turned on the light in the kitchen. The girl grabbed a cookie my dad had made. By the way, I didn't get your name, I said. The girl looked at me with a piece of the cookie in her mouth. Oh, she said as she swallowed the cookie. I'm Frankie Stein, the girl said. I didn't know what to say to Frankie. Who are your parents, Frankie? I asked. Well, my dad is Frankenstein, and my mom is Frankenstein's bride, Frankie answered. I looked at her strangely. So, Frankie, why'd you come to my dad's place? I asked. Well, I just wanted to meet you, since you're going to be my new teacher at my school, Frankie explained. I suddenly stopped. Did she go to Monster High, the school I'm going to teach at? I thought. Before I could say something, I heard my dad coming down the stairs. Charlotte, what are you doing up at 2 a.m? He asked. When he reached the bottom of the stairs, he was shocked to see Frankie in the kitchen. Oh, Dad, this is Frankie. She's a student at the school I'm teaching. I said. My dad smiled. Well, nice to meet you, Frankie, Dad said. I'm Benjamin Peterson, Charlie's father. Dad introduced himself. Well, Mr. Peterson, it's not a pleasure to meet you, Frankie said. Well, I better get going. See you Monday. Dad looked at me. Frankie seems like a nice girl, he said. Well, I better get to bed. Good night, Dad, I said. Later, when I was asleep, I kept hearing voices in my in my dreams like, Wake up! Wake up! I tried dreaming something else, but the voices were all I could think of. I slowly opened my eyes, and I saw that there was someone else in my bedroom. It was another girl. The girl had pale pink skin, a heart-shaped birthmark on her left cheek. Her eyes were purple and also pale. Her hair was styled in pigtails. The girl also had black hair with pink streaks. Her dress was pink, black, and white, and she was also shorter than Frankie. I thought the girl was dressed very strangely. When she opened her mouth, I looked at her teeth and saw 2 fangs. She was a vampire! Vampire! I cried. Please don't suck my blood! I'm begging you! I pleaded. Relax. I'm not going to drink your blood, she said in a Transylvanian accent. Then I calmed down. Excuse me? I asked. I'm a vegan. I eat anything but meat. The vampire explained. Huh. Being a vegan is weird for a vampire, I said. I didn't introduce myself. I'm Draculaura, the vampire girl said. And I suppose your dad is Dracula? I asked. Totes, Draculaura answered. Sorry, I got a scratchy throat. How old are you? I asked. I'm 1599 years old, she said. Why did you sneak into my room? I asked. I heard that Frankie came to visit you in the middle of the night, so I decided to come at 5 in the morning, the vampire explained. Well, I better get going. Tomorrow is a school day. Bye, she said. She turned into a bat and flew out my window. I closed the door after she left and went back to sleep. I couldn't stop thinking about these 2 monsters and what monsters I would meet next. Would it be a werewolf, a mummy, or a zombie? The next morning I woke up very tired. When I went down to the kitchen, I saw someone rummaging through the kitchen. It wasn't my dad. He was still asleep upstairs in his room. It was a werewolf! The werewolf was about 15 years old. She had long voluminous hair that was dark brown. She had golden yellow eyes. She wore a pink tank top with tiger striped patterns. She wore a purple mini skirt and a black jacket with white fur. Dad! There's a werewolf in the kitchen! I called Dad. I'm coming! Dad said as he came down the stairs. When he came down into the kitchen, he saw the werewolf. He was surprised to see the werewolf biting into the steak from the fridge. Sorry, I didn't mean to come into your home, the werewolf said. I'm Claudine, by the way. Claudine Wolf. I'm Charlie Peterson, your new teacher, I responded. I heard Draculaura and Frankie dropped by your house last night, Claudine said. I'm sorry, who's Draculaura? Dad asked me. She's this vampire that came into my room in the middle of the night, I explained. Shouldn't you be leaving for your interview now? Claudine asked. It's 8:30. Oh no, I almost forgot, I cried. I gotta go. Bye, Dad. I love you. Bye, Pumpkin, Dad said. I ran out the front door and opened the car door. I then turned on the car and drove off to Monster High. As I was driving, I kept thinking to myself, what other monster kids were there? Chapter 4. Let's see what happens next. This one's gonna be full of screams. As I was driving through the urban area of New Salem when I heard an interview at a company called Hardcore. The president, Montgomery Hart, was talking about a new project he was making. This project will be presented at the Hardcore building. There will be a gala on October 31st, and the project will be presented on that exact date, Hart said. I didn't understand. There was no way this project would do any good. I mean, Hardcore hadn't done well in the last 3 years. When I arrived at school, it was 9 a.m. I, I, I pulled into the parking lot and got out of my car. I looked out. I looked at the school. It was pretty tall. It pretty much looked like a haunted fortress. I looked at the map of the campus, and it was shaped like a giant coffin. I walked into the headmistress's office. The hallowed halls were straight and creepy. When I reached the office, I was pretty darn nervous to see what the principal looked like. But when I walked in, I was surprised. The headmistress seemed normal. She looked completely human. Greetings, you must be Charlotte Peterson. My name is Nora Bloodgood, and I am the headmistress of the school. The headmistress introduced herself. Yes, Ms. Bloodgood, I'm Charlotte Peterson, but you can just call, everyone calls me Charlie, I said. I've heard so much about you, Miss Peterson, headmistress Bloodgood said. I was nervous. I really needed this job. I needed it. Now, Charlie, let's look at your resume, Bloodgood said. I see it says here that you got your teaching degree at Illinois State University, Bloodgood said as she read the resume. Yes, I did, I said nervously. I was worried that I wouldn't be approved. I see, Headmistress Bloodgood said as she continued reading my resume. I gritted my teeth because I knew that I wouldn't get approved. When Bloodgood finished reading, she looked up at me. I knew it. I knew I wouldn't get hired. I was about to leave when the headmistress said, "You're hired." I turned around and looked at the headmistress. I'm sorry, I asked. I said, "You're hired," she said. What? Really? Thank you very much, I cried. The headmistress smiled. You'll start tomorrow on Monday, she said. I was once again about to turn and leave when the headmistress called me again. Miss Peterson, there's one more thing I'd like to tell you, she said. What is it? I asked. Remember how you saw me as normal because I look human? She asked. Yes, I said. Well, I'm actually a monster as well, Headmistress Bloodgood said. She then took off her head from her body and placed it on her desk. I was amazed. As you might be wondering, I am the daughter of the Headless Horseman, Bloodgood said. Well, I guess I'll see you tomorrow then, I said. As I walked out the school, I was thinking about what my new job would be like. While I was daydreaming, I bumped into a human boy who looked about 16 years old. He had black hair with some blonde ends. He wore framed glasses and a yellow button-up shirt. The boy also wore a black and gray checkered sweater vest. On his shirt was a blue bow tie. He looked kind of shy. Can I help you? I asked the boy. No, it's fine. I was just walking my way home from the park, he said. Do you come to this school? I asked. Yeah, I do, the boy said, sweating. Yeah, Nice to meet you. I'm Charlie Peterson, the new teacher here, I said awkwardly. I'm Jackson Jekyll. My mom's Dr. Jekyll, the boy said. I thought Dr. Jekyll was a guy, I said, confused. Well, Dr. Henry Jekyll, the guy you're thinking of, is my great-grandfather, And my mom's grandfather, Jackson explained. Okay, but you're human. Does doesn't Monster High only enroll monsters? I asked. I'm also part monster. I'm also part monster, Jackson said. He grabbed a pair of headphones from his backpack and played some loud music. When he put the headphones on, he changed into a monster. The monster had blue skin, sunset eyes, and a symbol on his face. His hair was made out of flames, and he wore a red leather jacket and pants with flames on them. All right, all right! The monster shouted. Jackson? I asked. Jackson? I'm not Jackson. I'm Holt Hyde, son of Mr. Hyde. Jackson's alter ego said. But I thought your great-grandfather was Mr. Edward Hyde, I said, puzzled. Indeed he is, but my dad ain't related to my great-grandpa. Instead, his last name is Hyde. It's a common last name, Holt explained. Huh? I asked. You see, that nerdy Normie's mom is related to the original Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But my dad is a completely different Mr. Hyde, Holt said. Now I understand. And Holt looked at the time on his phone. Oh no, it's almost lunchtime. Gotta rock while I can. Yeah! Holt screamed. I watched as Holt walked away. Wow, that was strange, I thought to myself. I got into my car and drove off to Dad's house. When I went inside, I saw Dad and I smiled at him. I got the job! I exclaimed excitedly. Oh my gosh! I'm so happy for you, Charlie, Dad said. Dad said happily. I met the headmistress, I told Dad. She told me she's the daughter of the Headless Horseman. Oh, well, that's interesting, Dad said. I also met this boy who was also a student at Monster High. His name's Jackson Jekyll. I said, well, that's interesting, Dad said. It turns out he's the great-grandson of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I told him. Does he have an alter ego, Dad asked. Yes, his name is Holt. Holt Hyde, I said. Eating the meatballs Dad made for lunch. Well, since you've gotten to know some of the students at school where you'll be teaching, I think you're well prepared for tomorrow, Dad said. You really think so? I asked Dad. I know so, he answered. Later, I had dinner, and then I went upstairs to brush my teeth and go to sleep. I was really excited. This would be my first time teaching a classroom of students. I was also nervous, and I hadn't taught a class before, especially a classroom full of monsters. As I drifted off to sleep, I kept dreaming about the upcoming project Mr. Hart was talking about. It couldn't be a doomsday device, could it? The next morning, I woke up screaming, "Ah!" Last night, I had a nightmare about a manifestation of some sort that was on a rampage, even eating everything in its path. The monster would not stop chasing me, and when it finally caught up to me, it swallowed me whole. I screamed for help as I fell into the abyss. I went downstairs and grabbed a bite of the toast my dad made. I went back upstairs and got dressed and brushed my teeth. I combed my hair and walked back downstairs. I put my sneakers on and tied the laces. I said goodbye to Dad and walked out the door. I opened the car door and put the keys in. I turned on the car and pulled out of the driveway. At 8:30 a.m., I arrived at the school. It was crowded. The campus was more crowded than yesterday. There were vampires, werewolves, zombies, ghosts, cyclopses, and skeletons everywhere, just to name a few. "Hey, Miss Peterson," a voice called me over. When I turned around, I saw Frankie, Draculaura, Claudine, and Jackson standing behind me. "Hey, Miss P, I'm really excited. This is the first day of school," Claudine said. I cannot wait to go inside. It is to die for." "Well, not literally," Draculaura said excitedly. "Well, I'm glad you think so, Draculaura," I said eagerly. Even though the first day of school will be tough, I'm ready to rock these hollow halls," Jackson said. Everyone looked at him awkwardly. "Sorry," Jackson apologized. As I smiled, I heard a car horn honk. Behind me was an Egyptian carriage being carried by 4 Anubis-themed guards. Out of the carriage stepped a beautiful auburn-skinned mummy girl. She had black and brown hair with fringe bangs enhanced with golden highlights. She wore a golden headband with sparkling blue diamonds. She had a blue gem on her right cheek, and her arms and legs were covered in sandy white bandages. Her limb warmers were also made out of bandages. Finally, her dress was yellow and teal. In her carriage, the song "Walk Like an Egyptian" was playing. She turned off the music and walked out of the carriage. She walked up to me and said, You must be the new teacher." "Indeed I am," I replied. "I am Cleo Denial, daughter of Ramses Denial. I may look young, but I am actually 5,837 years old," the mummy girl said. "Great to hear that. I'm your new teacher, Miss Peterson," I introduced myself. Cleo looked at me. It's a pleasure to meet you," she said as she shook my hand. "Don't worry, Cleo. Don't worry. Cleo may act like a diva, but she's really sweet," Draculaura said. "Okay," I said awkwardly. We were about to walk in when someone called, Yo, Cleo!" I turned around and saw a 16-year-old boy walking towards Cleo. He was handsome, muscular, and tall. He had green snake-like eyes and was wearing red sunglasses. He also wore a red t-shirt with a skull on it. Over his shirt was a white vest with gray stripes. He wore a glove on his left hand. His shoes were checkered. His bicep had green scales, and he had 6 to 9 snakes on his head instead of hair. The snakes were styled into a mohawk. Deuce," Cleo said. The guy walked over to Cleo. "Miss Peterson, this is my boyfriend, Deuce Gorgon," she told me. "What up, Miss P? You want to know why I'm wearing these shades?" he asked me. "Sure," I said. Well, my mom is Medusa, and I have to wear these shades so, I don't turn people into stone. Don't worry, it only lasts a few hours, usually," Deuce said. "Good to know," I said uncomfortably. I was starting to get scared. "This guy can literally turn people into stone." "Oh, don't worry, Miss Peterson." I was starting to get scared. "This guy can literally turn people into stone." Oh, don't worry, Miss Peterson. Don't worry, Miss Peterson. Deuce is nice. He's the friendliest guy on campus. That's why I love him," Cleo said as she hugged Deuce. I was about I was about to say something when suddenly a tsunami wave came crashing down on Cleo, soaking her wet. Riding the tsunami was a sea monster who was surfing on a surfboard. She had pale blue freckles and webbed hands. She had fins on her arms and legs, and she had blonde hair with faded blue streaks. Her hair was also curly. She had a tomboyish look. She wore a pink fish-scaled tank top and black and blue shorts with fishnet attachments. She also wore a blue fish-like hoodie. The sea monster also wore golden earrings. Oh, oi, oi, mates! She cried in an Australian accent as she ran over to the other students. The monsters all hugged the sea monster and looked happy to see her. When she turned around to see me, she smiled. Hello there! You must be the new teacher. My name's Laguna Blue. My dad's the Gillman, and my mom's a sea nymph, the sea monster said. Well, nice to meet you, Laguna. I'm Miss Peterson, your new teacher, I said politely, as I introduced myself. So you come from Australia? I asked. You betcha! Laguna smiled as she winked at me and gave me a thumbs up. Someone moaned. I turned around to see a zombie walking toward me. She was in a sway-back posture, and she wore white, nerdy glasses. Her hair was light blue, and her skin was pale gray. She wore a green headband and had a studious appearance. I looked at her awkwardly. Then the zombie started laughing. Just kidding. Of course I speak English. Hi, I'm Ghoulia. Ghoulia yelps, the zombie said. Well, I'm Miss Peterson, and I'm going to be your new teacher, I said nervously. The kids here keep getting stranger, I thought. Just don't eat my brain, I said to Ghoulia. Just then, the school morning bell rang. Come on, Miss Peterson, it's time for you to teach our first class, Frankie said as she pulled my hand. I knew that the students I had just met were weird, but today was about to get weirder. Let's see how weird it gets in Chapter 6. When the students and I walked into the homeroom, I was surprised to see that it looked just like a classroom at a normal high school. Some desks were aligned together, and there was a blackboard. The ghouls, the female monsters, and the mansters, the male monsters, sat down waiting for the rest of their friends to arrive. Sitting next to a Laguna was a freshwater monster. He had spiky fins protruding from his neck, arms, and legs. He had a big fin on his head, which was styled like a mohawk that flipped over one side, the left side. He wore a purple shirt and gray pants. He wore sandals on his feet. He wore a black uniform jacket with white and pink stripes and tidal waves on the end of his sleeves. On top of all that, the freshwater monster wore a helmet filled with fresh water. Oh, hello! I'm Gillington Weber, but you can call me Gil, the freshwater monster said. Gil's my boyfriend, Laguna said. Gil's my boyfriend, Laguna said. But sadly, my parents are river monsters, and they are prejudiced against sea monsters, Gil said. Sorry to hear that, I said sympathetically. I knew it was just like it was just like racism. How one race was being mean to another race. Just then, I felt sorry for both Laguna and Gil. Just then, I Just then, a girl walked in and sat down in her seat next to Julia. She had blue skin and white hair with uneven streaks of purple, blue, and pink mixed on the edges. Her eyes were purple, and two small tusks were protruding from her mouth. She wore a an ice crystal necklace and a fur headband. She wore a purple snowflake earrings, and she wore fur headbands, fur wristbands, and an off-the-shoulder tube crystalline dress. She had an animal-like nose, and she wore white fur boots. Hello, I am Abby Abominable, daughter. Hello, I am Abby Abominable, daughter of the Yeti, the girl said. Nice of you to join us, Abby, I said. Now is everyone ready? I asked. Everyone looked ready. Okay, now let's start with some math, I said. What is 10 to the power of 2, I asked. Cleo raised her hand. Yes, Cleo. Is it 100? Yes, Cleo, I asked. Is it 100? She asked. I was surprised. Yes, it is, I said in disbelief. They actually knew how to do the math. For the rest of the period, I taught the students a lot of math. I taught them stem and leaf, integers, and negative numbers. Later, I saw a boy holding a flame in his hand. The boy had fiery yellow skin and red flame-like hair. He wore a gray shirt with a flame on it. His jacket was black with white and gray stripes, and little flames were embroidered on his sleeves. Hello, are you allowed to do that? I asked as I approached him. Yes, I am. Of course I'm allowed to hold flames in my hand. My name is Heath Burns, and I'm a fire elemental, the boy said. Nice to meet you, Heath. I'm Miss Peterson, the new teacher. I introduced myself. Then, a ghostly girl phased through the ceiling. Her skin was ghostly white, and her hair was white, violet, and frisky. Her purple dress was covered in chains, black balls, and shackles, and her black halter tank top had magenta edges and chains on the front. She wore a bracelet that resembled a silver hoop, and her purple boots had shackles wrapped around them. Can I help you? I asked. I'm good. Hello. I'm good. Hello. I'm Spectre Vondergeist. I'm the editor for the Gory Gazette, the school paper, the ghost girl said. Nice to meet you, Spectra. I'm Miss Peterson, your new teacher, I said. Just then I heard someone purr. Right behind me there were 3 werecats. The werecat in the center had short orange hair with black stripes. Her hair was light orange with dark orange stripes. Right behind me there were 3 werecats. The werecat in the center had short orange hair with black stripes. Her fur was light orange with dark orange stripes. She wore a black leather jacket with pink stripes. Her dress was pink with black stripes, and she wore an orange scarf. Her pants had holes in them, and her shoes were black and pink. The other werecats had gray and black fur. The one on the left had black hair with a white streak and with black stripes. She wore black pants and an orange vest. The one on the right had white hair with a black streak and with white stripes. She wore orange pants and a black vest. Both werecats on the left were twins. both werecats on the left and right were twins. The one on the left had a white shirt with black stripes, and the one on the right had a black shirt with white stripes. They were kind of troublesome when I looked at them. Meow. I'm Toralei Stripe, and these are my sisters, Persephone and Melody. The werecat in the middle purred. In fact, the werecat twins were really Toralei's cousins. Well, I'm pleased to meet you. I'm Miss Peterson, the new teacher, I introduced myself. Perfect. I can't wait for you to teach us in class, Toralei said. Ta-ta, she said as she walked away. I looked at them as they walked away. Well, no time to talk. Gotta get to class, Spectre said. I watched as the ghost girl I watched the ghost girl as she floated away. Just then I heard the bell for second period ring. I knew that it was time for me to get back to teach my second class of the day. I was getting used to the hallowed halls of Monster High. It was scary at first. But when I was teaching the students, I realized it was actually kind of fun. Now we're on chapter 7. At lunch, I sat down to eat at the teacher's table. It was full of teachers. There was Mr. Hackington, the mad science teacher. He was tall and wore a stitched-up mask. Next to Mr. Hackington, or Mr. Hack for short, was Mr. Rotter, the teacher of dead languages. He was white. He had white hair, gray skin, and a grotesque appearance. I thought he looked like the Phantom of the Opera without his mask on. On my side, there was Mrs. Kindergruber, the home ec teacher, which was the cooking class. She somewhat resembled the witch from Hansel and Gretel. Next to her was Mr. Ware, the drama-rama teacher. That was drama class. He had a striking resemblance to the Invisible Man, mostly due to the glasses, the bandages, and hat. Hey, Miss Peterson, come here, Frankie called me over. I went over to the table where Frankie and Dracula, Claudine, and Jackson were sitting. I sat down and took my lunch out of my bag. It was a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So, Miss Peterson, how long have you been teaching? Jackson asked. Oh, this is my first time, I said. Did your dad teach you to be... Did your dad teach you to be a vegan? Dracula asked. No, they taught me to be... No, he taught me to be an omnivore, I answered. Well, at least you learned to eat meat, just like I'm eating this delicious steak, Claudine said. Hey, Claudine, can we sit next to you? Asked the male voice. Walking over to the table were two more werewolves. The boy had brown fur and his hair was styled in a flat mohawk. He had sideburns on his sides and wore cowboy clothes. He also wore a blue cap. The girl werewolf was shorter than Claudine. She was about 14. She had tan skin and orange curly hair. She wore punk-like clothes and a blue hoodie with short sleeves. The hoodie itself had paw prints. Sure, bro. Come on over, Claudine said. Miss Peterson, I'd like you to meet my older brother Claude and my little sister Howleen, Claudine said. Nice to meet you, Miss Peterson, Claude said. Pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to meet you, Howleen said. Before I could say something, vines sprouted out of the walls. What's going on? I asked. Oh, that's just Venus McFly. Oh, that's just Venus McFlytrap. Oh, that's just Venus McFlytrap, Howleen said, pointing over to a plant monster at another lunch table. Venus had green hair with pink streaks. Her hair on her right side was shaved. Her skin was light green, and the style she dressed in was eco-punk. She even acted like a punk. Oh yeah! Cried Venus. No, that's all right. I mean, that's not in the book. Who's the robot? Who's the robot next to her? I asked, pointing to the girl with the copper brown skin. Oh, that's Rebecca Steen, Dracula said. Rebecca had several bolts, rivets, and gears on the backside of her calf. Her hair was black and had blue streaks. Her eyes were shaped like cogwheels, and her dress was a blue steampunk style. She was wearing rocket-powered boots and pilot's goggles. Hello, I'm Rebecca Steen, daughter and creation of mad scientist Hezekiah Steen. Rebecca introduced herself in an English accent. Nice to meet you, Rebecca. I'm Miss Peterson, your new teacher, I said. I currently live at Ms. Kindergrubber's house because a few 100 years ago, my father went missing on an expedition in the catacombs, she said. Then Rebecca started crying. Must be because she missed her dad. She. What are the catacombs? I asked. Well, I'll tell ya, a voice said. I turned around to see a red-headed girl sitting at a lunch table. Her skin was medium purple, and her hair was in a special hair bow style. She wore a black mask on the left side of her face. Behind her mask was a birthmark consisting of music notes and spider webs that reached down to her left arm. Her clothes were 1950s to 1960s style. Her mask was monocle-shaped and her influence was music. Her clothes were even black and white. The catacombs are a maze of caverns underneath the school, the girl said. I'm sorry, who are you? I asked. The name's Operetta. My dad's the Phantom of the Opera, the ghoul introduced herself. You must be the new teacher, she continued. Yes, I am, I said. I'm Charlie Peterson, I introduced myself. We think the catacombs are a dangerous place, Persephone said. Agreed. There's no way out of a place such as the catacombs. Meowlity added. Moaned a male zombie. His right eye faced the right and his left stared at me. His hair was dark blue, his skin was grayish white, and he wore a purple t-shirt. Over his shirt, the zombie wore a Monster High uniform jacket. It's okay, Miss Peterson. This is Sloman Mortovich. He's my boyfriend, Gulia said. But you can call me Slow-Mo. Nice to meet you, Sloman said in English. Just then, The third period bell rang. I went back to the homeroom along with Frankie, Dracula, and Claudine. Suddenly, a gargoyle girl stopped me. She had pink hair with pale, with pale, we had, she had pink hair with pale teal streaks. Her skin was stone gray, and she had gargoyle wings on her back, just like Abby. Her nose was animal-like. She wore a Parisian-shaped striped dress, and she had wing-shaped ears. Her dress was a combination of modern and classical elements. You have a hall pass? The gargoyle asked me. Yes, I have a hall pass. I'm a teacher, I said. Oh, pardon. I'm just the hall monitor, she said in a French accent. She's new here, Dracula said. I'm Rochelle Goyle. I am an exchange student from France. The gargoyle introduced herself. Can I go to the homeroom now? I asked. Sure, go right ahead, Rochelle said as she let me through. As I was walking to the homeroom, I bumped into someone. It was another human. He looked about my age and looked kind of intimidating. He had short black hair, and he was kind of cute. I am so sorry. It's my first day, and I haven't been around the whole school yet, I said. Don't be sorry. I'm used to new people, the man said. I'm Charlie, I said, blushing. I'm Jason Wellington, he said. Nice to meet you, Jason, I said. I was about to answer when Claudine tapped on my shoulder. Excuse me, but we need to get to classes, she said. Okay, Claudine, I'm coming, I said. I'll see you tomorrow. I gotta go. I'll see you tomorrow, I said. I turned around and kept walking. For the rest of the day, I had butterflies in my stomach. Now it's time to go to Chapter 8. What's going to happen next? After school, I saw two girls who were drawing something in their notebooks. The ghoul on the left was a humanoid dragon. She had golden yellow hair with golden scales. Her hair was green with black streaks, and her eyes were jade green. And she wore a Cheong Sam, and her tail was yellow with green hair. Also, she wore a purple Chinese dress. The ghoul on the right was a skeleton. Her face resembled one of those Mexican sugar skulls on Day of the Dead. Her curled hair was black with marigold streaks. Her eyes were brown, and she wore a black Mexican dress. Around her neck was an orange necklace. Hello, I just want to know what you two are doing, I said. We are creating new ideas for the fashion. We are creating new ideas for the fashion industry, the skeleton girl said. Hola, I am Skelito Calaveras. I am an exchange student from Camp Cempasúchil, Mexico. Nice to meet you, Skelita. I'm Miss Peterson, I introduced myself. I am Jennifer Long, daughter of the Chinese dragon, the dragon girl said calmly. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Charlie Peterson, the new teacher, I said. Jennifer didn't say anything to me. I thought she was rude. Sorry about Jennifer. She can be very stubborn sometimes, Skelita said apologetically. I smiled at the two girls and walked home. As I was walking to the school gates, I bumped into another ghost girl. Her eyes were white without any irises. Her black hair was styled in a 60s mod fashion. She wore an olive green Alice band. Her skin was green, and her lips were greenish blue. Her turtleneck halter top was lime green, and her skirt was dark olive was a dark olive green. And it was and around it was a belt. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to bump into you. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to bump into you. It's a. I apologize. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bump into you. I apologize. It's okay, lass. The ghoul said in an Irish accent. I'm Scara Screams, daughter of the Banshee. The ghoul introduced herself. Nice to meet you, Scara. I'm Charlie Peterson, new teacher. I said. I looked at my watch and saw that it was 4:45 p.m. I gotta go. See you tomorrow, I called out. I walked into the parking lot. I walked into the parking lot and went over to my car. I got inside and started the engine. I drove out and went home. When I got home, I opened the door. Inside, I saw Dad sitting on the couch and ouch. Hey Charlie, how was your first day teaching? He asked. It was amazing, I said. I was pretty calm when I told Dad about my first day at school on the job. I told them about Cleo, Deuce, Laguna, and Gulia and how they were super nice to me. I even told them about Claudine's siblings, Heath, Abby, Gil, Venus, and Spectra. There were some mean students as well. There was Toralei, Persephone, and Meowdy, 3 werecats who loved to cause trouble, I told Dad. I told Dad about some of the other students like Slow-Mo, Rebecca, Operetta, and Rochelle. I even told him about Skeleta, Jennifer, and Scara. After dinner, I watched a movie with Dad. The movie was about the history of monsters and how they threaten humankind. And as I was watching the movie, I began to think about the school as I had applied to. Monster High. Was it really dangerous? A dangerous place? Were these monsters actually dangerous? I thought to myself. By the time the movie was over, I saw a scene where someone was talking about what we need to do if a monster attacked. When I looked closely at the person, I saw who it was. The person who was speaking was none other than Montgomery Hart. This could lead to something. Chapter 9. The next day, I woke up from another nightmare. This time it was about the students at Monster High being attacked by humans. The horrifying part was that the leader of the group of humans was my dad. It was so scary. That dream made me question who I really was. After I ate breakfast, I was about to go out the door when I noticed a small golden lantern on the front step of the door. The lantern was shaped like a citadel and had a sticky note on its side that said, "Rub me." As I did as the note was written and rubbed the lantern. Suddenly, the lantern started glowing. Pink smoke whooshed out of it. I covered my eyes when a bright light flashed. When I covered my eyes, I was amazed at what I saw. Peering from the smoke was a genie. Her skin was pink and she had freckles across her nose. Her hair was pink, hot pink, and with a champagne gold streak, which was styled like a scorpion's tail. Her arms and legs had a scorpion segmentation on them, and she wore a half blue, half pink crop top connected to high-waisted genie pants. On her feet, she wore pink pumps that curled up like an elf shoe. Each shoe had a golden flower in the middle. Hello, I am Gigi Grant, and I am here to grant you 3 wishes. Charlie Peterson, the genie said. How did you find me? I asked, shocked. You didn't know? Howleen sent me to your dad's house, Gigi said. Claudine's sister sent you? I asked. I was still freaked out to see a genie and a lantern on my dad's front door. Yes, and tell me, what is your first wish? Gigi asked. I cleared my throat. I wish I could to be at the school, I said. As you wish, Gigi said as she put her hands together. The next thing I saw was a bright light. I was blinded by them. When I opened my eyes, I saw myself standing at the school gates. We're at the school, just like you wanted, Gigi said. I smiled at her. Thank you, I said. I see you've met Gigi, Howleen said as she walked over to me with Claudine. You should really thank my little sis for asking Gigi to help you, Claudine said to me. I know, right? Gigi is really good at granting everyone's wishes, a voice said. Who said that? I asked. I did. The voice said. Suddenly a 14-year-old girl appeared from the shadows. She had light purple-blue skin with gray hands and lower arms. Gray-colored shadows swirled up from her ankles to the middle of her lower legs. Her hair was pastel green and with blue and purple stripes, and her eyes were purple pink. Her dark blue sleeved shirt with a black spider print made her look like a little lady. Her shirt was had a medium-sized black bow in the middle. Her legs were covered by a small layered skirt, and her boots were navy blue with heels that looked like robots. Miss Peterson, I want you to meet my bestie, my BFF, Twyla Boogeyman. Howleen said. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Twyla. I said. My best friend, Twyla. Howleen said. Nice to meet you, Twyla, I said. Well, it's hard to make friends when your dad's the boogeyman. Yeah. The boogeyman? I asked. Yeah, my full name's Twyla Boogeyman. We live in the Boogie Mansion near the cemetery, she explained. I stared at her blankly. Have you ever had that dream where you feel like you were being chased by a hideous beast? The ghoul nodded. The ghoul asked. I nodded. Yeah? That was probably me. Twyla said. Wait, you were in my dream? I cried. Just then the school bell rang. Well, there's the bell. See you in class, I said. I walked away feeling very freaked out. The boogeyman's daughter was in my dream? How could that happen? I was too busy thinking when suddenly I bumped into Jason again. Oh, Jason, I didn't see you there, I said. It's okay. I'm fine, he said. So, Jason, do you want to go out for dinner tonight? I asked. That would be excellent, he said. Let's make it 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, I said. I suddenly felt my heart flutter. When I turned around, I saw a phone floating in the air. I'm a haunted cell phone! Woo! A voice said. I didn't think it was funny. Just then, a boy appeared out of nowhere, holding the phone. The boy laughed. Ha 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 ha! I scared you! He said. He cried. The boy looked very dreamy, but not too dreamy. He had an icy blue skin tone bordering on white, and his hair was a dark shade of blue. His eyes were gray, and his hoodie was dark gray with and dark blue on at the shoulders. He wore dark. He wore he wore blue me. He wore medium blue pants that were covered in patches, and his sandals were light gray. To top it all off, he was wearing a blue beanie on his head. "I'm sorry, who are you?" I asked. The master stopped laughing. "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Invisibility, son of the Invisible Man," I said. "Do you always pull these pranks?" I asked, unamused. "Not always. I sometimes help Mr. Ware at the drama club. I'm also Scare Scream's boyfriend," Invisibility answered. "Well, it was nice meeting you, Billy, but I've got classes to teach it," I said. I walked into the homeroom just waiting for the student to teach the students. I walked into the room and I saw them sitting at the tables. I was feeling well prepared to teach them. "Okay, kids, today I'm going to teach you all something new," I said. Frankie raised her hand. "What is it?" she asked. "What is it?" she asked. "I'm going to teach you all about humanology," I said. Cleo raised her hand. "What is humanology?" she explained. She asked. "Humanology is the study of humans and their lives," I explained. This was I was unprepared since I had just made the whole thing up. Everyone seemed excited to learn about this new subject. First question. What do humans think of the dark? I asked. Claudine raised her hand. "They think it's awesome?" she asked. "No, that is not the correct answer," I said. Are they scared of the dark?" Dracula asked. "Yes, they are," I answered. So they react when they're in the dark like this. "Ah, it's the dark," Deuce asked. The whole class started laughing. No, they do not, Deuce," I said. "I bet they do this." Run away! It's dark out here!" Heath said. The class laughed again. "Students, settle down," I shouted. "Students, settle down," I shouted. "Now for the final question," I said. How do humans react when they see a spider?" They scream, said a voice. Dun dun. The voice was coming from the ceiling. "That is correct. Whoever you are," I said, in a scared tone. From the ceiling, an anthropomorphic spider girl climbed down from the ceiling. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Her hair was deep red, and her skin was dark gray. She possessed 6 arms, fangs, and red eyes. She had 4 more eyes, and she had a widow's peak. Her hair was in a fringe style, and she wore She wore white pants. Her dress was white and had red comic sound effects. Her fangs were black, and her heels were black with red spider webs. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to frighten you," the spider girl said, after she climbed down her web line. It's okay, I wasn't frightened," I said. "Anyways, I'm Winona Spider, daughter of Arachne," the spider girl said. "Nice to meet you, Winona. I'm Miss Peterson, your new teacher," I said. Oh, I know who you are." Widona informed. Everyone has told me all about you. I was quite amazed to see a student with so many arms. About the answer, how did you know that humans scream when they see a spider? I asked. Well, since my mom is a spider monster, she is an expert, Widona explained. Later, I was walking down the hall when I saw a boy bullying Jackson. The boy had blonde locks. He wore a red T-shirt with a maze on it, and he wore blue pants. What made the boy abnormal was that he had a bull's head, an actual bovine bull. I was about to help Jackson when suddenly Jason came and walked up to the bully. Leave him alone, he said. The bullies looked at him and walked away. You're lucky, Normie, he snorted. Thanks, Mr. Willington, Jackson said as I watched as Jackson walked to his next class. Jason, who is that guy bullying Jackson? I asked. That's just Manny Tor. He's the son of the Minotaur, Jason said. He's the school bully. Does he always pick on everyone? I asked. No, he usually picks on students who are half human like Jackson, weaker, or zombies, Jason informed. You still remember our date? I asked. Of course I do, he replied. Jason then walked away as I was left standing there. I was starting to have a crush on him. I see you were talking to Mr. Willington, said Claudine. With her were Frankie, Dracula, Cleo, and Gulia. I have a question, I said. What does Jason do around here? Sorry. What does Jason do around here? Mr. Willington is the janitor. He usually sleeps in a cave in the catacombs. I meant, Mr. Willington is the janitor. He usually sleeps in a cave in the catacombs. Dracula explained. How many caves are there in the catacombs? I asked. I don't know, about 350, Frankie said. Wow, that's a lot of caves, I exclaimed. During lunch, I saw another girl. This girl had voluminous purple skin and marks around her eyes. Her eyes were light blue, and her big voluminous hair was dark black with blue-purple accents and and red highlights. The clothes she wore were a kind of jungle chic. I sat down next to the jungle ghoul and we started talking. Hello, my name is Miss Peterson. I'm the new teacher, I said. Nice to meet you, mate. I'm Jane Boolittle, the ghoul said in an Australian accent. Well, it's nice to meet you, Jane, I said. Jane looked at me while she was eating. So, who are your parents? So, Jane, who are your parents? I asked. Actually, I'm adopted. You see, my dad is Dr. Boolittle, and my other dad is Dr. Moreau. They will be such research partners, she explained. We laughed and talked throughout the lunch period. After school, I met up with Gigi for her to transport me back to my dad's house. I was about to tell Gigi my second wish when suddenly a merman came racing down the stairs in a wheelchair. He had blue skin, a dark blue fishtail, and a dark blue mohawk. He wore a yellow t-shirt with
with orange detailing. He wore goggles and he had tattoos on his arms. The wrist on his right arm was bandaged and his eyes were blue. He wore motorcyclist gloves and his wheelchair was decked out with flaming skulls. I felt a gust of wind as he zoomed past me. I'm the winner! The merman shouted. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you on the stairs. I'm Finnegan Wake, and while my parents may only swim, my wheelchair can run on land. Hello, Finnegan. I'm Miss Peterson, the new teacher. The new teacher, I said, introducing myself. Suddenly, I saw a girl running my way at lightning speed. She had light gold skin and short, straight, coral pink upward hair. Her eyes were blue and her horns were brown. She had coral dots on her face instead of eyebrows. She wore a bright green tank top and a brown jacket with an orange yellow target like symbol. She wore gold hoop earrings and an orange belt and caramel boots. I lost, didn't I? The dear ghoul said. She then turned around to look at me. Hello, you must be Miss Peterson. I'm Gilda Goldstag, the last golden hind on the planet. The dear ghoul said. Nice to meet you, Gilda. I better get going, I said. Gigi, for my second wish, I wish for me to be at my dad's house, I commanded. As you wish, Gigi said as she put her hands together. When I opened my eyes, I am at my dad's place. When I looked around at my phone, the time was 3:45 p.m. I went inside and I hugged Dad. Charlie, how did you get here? Why didn't you drive your car? He asked. Howleen sent me a lamp that had a genie named Gigi, I explained. Well, let's get inside and I'll make dinner, Dad said. Actually, I'm going out for dinner. I have a date. I said. Dad looked at me. I knew that I might have made him mad. I thought that he would forbid me from going outside. Instead, he said, That's wonderful. I hope you have fun. I didn't expect him to react this way. I'm sorry, what? I asked. I said, go on your date. Have fun, he said. Thanks, Dad. I will, I said, forcing a smile on my face. As I walked up the stairs, I was thinking about what our date will be like. Would Jason take me to... Where would Jason take me? What would he have for dinner? And what would we have for dinner? And what would we do there? As I walked into my room, I saw a note on my windowsill. It said, look down below. I looked down the windowsill and I saw Jason standing there. Chapter 10. I knew Jason would come to my house at 5, but I didn't expect him to come this early. He took a rope out from his backpack and swung it at the window, grappling the sill. Come on, climb down. You won't fall, he said. I grabbed onto the rope and started climbing down. I never snuck out before. This was my first time. How do we get to the school? I asked. It's very far away. Well, Jason said, then he paused. Let's just say I have an ability. I was confused about what he meant by ability. Get on my back. Get on my back, Jason told me. I got onto his back, and suddenly Jason flew off like a rocket. Hold on, he said. I held on to him very tightly. How are you flying? I exclaimed. I have the ability to fly, just like Icarus, Jason said. At first it was scary, but then I realized it was kind of fun. Come on, Jason, go faster! I said. He then zoomed through the night sky. We flew around the hardcourt building like a twisting tornado. At long last, we arrived at Monster High. What are we doing here? I asked. You'll see, he said. At the doorway there was another strange ghoul. She had light green skin. She had light green skin, olive green hair, and had a plus size body. Her hair was styled into pigtails and twisted at the side. No, wait, that's not right. At the school, there was another strange ghoul. This school was had a plus size body, light green skin, and olive green hair. Her hair was styled into pigtails, twisted at the side of her head. Her outfit was rich maroon and green with hints of black and white. Both her clothes and heels were eye-based. Her most distinguishing feature was an olive green eye at the center of her face. Charlie, this is Iris Klops, daughter of the Cyclops, Jason said. Iris, this is Charlie Peterson, the new teacher. Nice to meet you, Miss Peterson, Iris said. I've seen a lot of strange things, but I've never seen a Cyclops before, I said. It's okay. Follow me, Iris shrugged. We then followed her. Jason and I followed the one-eyed ghoul into the school. She led us down the hallowed halls and to the stairs to the catacombs. This way, she said. My heart skipped a beat. I was always afraid of going down to the basement when I was a little girl, but going down into a cavern was even scarier. Thankfully, Jason held my hand as we walked down the stairs. When we reached the bottom, I saw a party in the basement. It was magnificent. I turned around to see Frankie, Dracula, and Claudine running up the stairs. Hey, Miss Peterson. I'm glad you can make it. Frankie said. I'm glad to see you too, Frankie, I said back. Thank you for inviting her, Mr. Wellington. Thank you for inviting her, Mr. Wellington. Dracula smiled. Come on, Miss P. I'll help you settle at a table, Claudine said. I'll go meet up with Skira, Iris said. So, why are you guys having a party? I asked. We've been invited to the gala on Halloween, Frankie said excitedly. You guys got invited? I asked. Yeah. Mr. Hart really liked how the Mansters performed at the building, so we invited them to play at the gala. Claudine led us to our table, and Jason and I sat down. Over in the corner, I saw Deuce, Claude, Heath, and Manny arguing about what music they should play. I say we should play heavy metal music, Heath said. No, we're playing monster alternative music, Manny shrugged. Monster alternative? You clearly made that thing up. I say we play goth music, Deuce shouted. What music do you want? Do you suggest we play, Claude? He asked. I say we play this kind of music, Claude answered. He then started playing a smooth jazz melody on the keyboard. Smooth jazz? Are you kidding? Deuce asked. I looked over at Jason. I could tell that he was getting frustrated. He got up from his chair and walked over towards them and walked over to the boys. Guys, settle down, he shouted. Can't you just agree on something? It's not about the kind of music you play, it's about how you do it together, Jason said. I guess he's right, Manny said. Sorry, Mr. Sorry, Mr. Willington. We didn't mean to start arguing. Heath apologized. Good. Now, show me what you got. Jason said. Deuce started playing the drums, and Manny started playing and Claude started playing his keyboard. Manny played and Heath played their guitars and began to sing slowly. We're electrified when it's dark outside. We don't need any lights. We're electrified. There's no place to hide, 'cause we're electrified. Claude, Deuce, Manny, and Heath sang. Whoa. What was that? Jason asked. That was kind of old school. You need to tempo things up. He continued. Jason ran onto the stage and grabbed Heath's guitar. Claude, give me a jam. Claude, give me a jam. Jason called. Claude played a beat on his keyboard. 2, 3, 4. Jason cried, and then he started strumming the guitar. And he started singing. The new kid in town is given the chance. She can do it, 'cause she knows she can. The new teacher can take it to the top. We know that because she can't stop. Jason sang, and then he started imitating the guitar he was playing. Oh my raw! Cleo cried. Crikey! Laguna said. Stage dive! Jason cried as he jumped off the stage. Awesome, he said. Oh my god! That has got to be the coolest thing for all of my undead life, Spectre said excitedly. That really cranked my cogs, Rebecca said. That was toots amazing! That was toots exciting! Dracula cried. I think Mr. W is going to steal the show, Deuce said. Jason and I had dinner in the catacombs that night. We ordered the food from the lunch lady. She had 13 yellow, slimy tentacles, and her hair was tucked in a hairnet. When I asked her what today's lunch special was, all she replied was, "The mash! You get the mash! You eat the mash!" I thought the lunch lady was mean. As we walked over to our table with the mashed potatoes, Jason and I were busy talking to each other. How long have you been teaching? Jason asked me. Actually, this is my first time as a teacher, I said. Well, isn't that interesting, Jason said. What have you been doing your whole life? I asked. Mostly running and hiding, you know, Jason said. Oh, is that so? I asked. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Frankie said as she walked over to our table. Why has he been running his whole life? I asked. Concerned? Yes, rumor has it that Mr. Willington lived in an orphanage his whole life, Cleo said. Aye, the mate's got some shady business going on, Laguna said. I heard that he ran away from home at a young age, Gil said in a worried tone. According to research, I heard that Mr. Willington has been associated with the demigods of Olympus, Gulia informed. Yes, what Gulia says, Abby replied. All the gossip about where Mr. Wellington came from makes me want to write an excellent story about this, Spectre said as she floated through the air. I looked at Jason, and I saw that he was feeling uncomfortable. Gigi, I called for the genie. Gigi came running over with her lantern. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, guys, but we have to leave, I told the students. What is your third wish? I asked. I wish for you to take us back to my dad's place on a magic carpet, I commanded. As you wish, Gigi said as she put her hands together and again another bright light flashed as Gigi put her hands together. When I opened my eyes, I saw that there was I was on a magic carpet with Jason and Gigi. Oops. Sorry, excuse me. We flew over the city of New Salem. Jason and I laughed as we rode on the magic carpet. We were having the time of our lives. Soon Gigi dropped us at Dad's house. I looked at the time on my phone. It was 7 p.m. Soon, Jason and I got off the magic carpet and we waved goodbye to Gigi. Thanks, Gigi, I called out to her as she flew away. I knocked on my dad's front door, and I waited for him to answer. I'm really worried about meeting your dad, Jason said anxiously. It's okay, everything will be fine, I reassured him. After a few minutes, Dad opened the door. Hey, Dad, I wanted to meet Jason. He took me on that first date tonight. I said, well, nice to meet you, Jason. Dad said, I have to go to bed. See you tomorrow, I said to Jason. As I was walking up the stairs, I heard Jason and my dad having a conversation. Listen here, I don't know who you are, but I want you to be careful when you're with my daughter. With my daughter. I heard Dad said, understood, Jason said, and he walked out the door. As I walked into my room, I threw myself on my bed and cried all night. Did my dad really hate Jason, or was he just trying to protect me? Chapter 2 and Chapter 11. The next day, I woke up very tired and I was crying all night and I kept thinking about what Dad had said. I drove my car off to work and I parked in the school parking lot. I went inside the school and things were going well as usual. Students were talking and they were on their phones. I kept walking to the homeroom, and when I heard someone crying, I turned around to see Manny sitting in the corner, crying very hard. I went over to talk to the Minotaur. Minotaur, are you okay? I asked. No, I'm not okay, Manny sobbed. Did you get kicked out of the band? I asked. No, Manny answered. Then why are you upset? I asked. Excuse me. Because, Manny sniffled, because I'm afraid that Iris will reject me because I'm a bully. Manny continued to cry. Do you like Iris? I asked. Yes, I do, Manny said. Maybe I can help with that. I can help you change your attitude, I said. Manny, are you sure? Manny asked. Yes, I'm sure, I said. Well, let's start at lunch, I said. Manny nodded. As Manny walked away, I heard someone behind me. I didn't know that Manny had a soft side, I said. Manny had a soft side. It was Jason. Jason, I exclaimed. I didn't see you there. Yeah, I know. I heard you and Manny talking. Is it true that he likes Iris? Jason asked. Yeah, it's true. That's why I promised that we would work on controlling his anger during lunch, I said. That's really nice of you, Jason said. Anyways, want to hang out at your place after school? He asked. You bet, I said. I walked to the classroom. During the first period, I taught the class another humanology lesson. Can anyone Tell me how humans react when they see a shark, I asked. Laguna shot up her hand. Yes, Laguna, I asked. They swim away as fast as they can, she answered. That is correct, I said. Does anyone know why humans are afraid of sharks? I asked. Gil raised his hand. Go ahead, Gil, I said. They are afraid that they will be eaten. Gil says. They are afraid that they will be eaten, Gil says. Of course, Gillington, that is correct, I said. Just then the school bell rang. Okay, class, don't forget. Read page 32 of Humanology 101 for homework tonight, I said. I packed my stuff up and I was about to leave the room when I saw Operetta sitting in the corner. She was playing the banjo. I walked over to her. Hey, Operetta, I said. What are you doing? I'm just playing my banjo. My daddy gave it to me, Operetta told me. That's a really nice banjo, I said. Maybe you can play your banjo at my place, I said. Operetta thought about it. Okay, she said. And she gave me a thumbs up. Good, I guess I'll see you at lunch, I said. I turned around and walked out the door. During the second period, I was teaching another class of monsters. One of the students was a green blob monster named Gob. One of the students, a green blob monster named Gob, ate his pencil. The student sitting next to him, another Yeti, whose name was Wooly, who didn't raise her hand the whole time. There were two skeletons, a short skeleton named Bonesy and a tall skeleton named Skelly. Both skeletons didn't talk much, therefore I found the class very troublesome. At lunch, I walked over to a table where Manny was sitting. I walked over to this table and sat next to him. As promised, I'm going to help you adjust your attitude, I said. Okay, Manny said, looking determined to be nice. First off, what makes you angry? I asked. The color red and those who annoy me, the Minotaur answered while pounding his fists together. Okay, I said while writing everything Manny said down on my clipboard. Now, what kind of people do you bully, I asked. Zombies and weaker students, such as Jackson and Howleen, Manny said. Now tell me, what caused you to bully others? Well, I asked. Well, I guess when I was bullied as well during middle school and during the time that I had that growth spurt before joining Monster High, Manny said. Now tell me, why do you act all mean and tough, I asked. Manny sighed. Because I'm a troubled person myself. Okay, thank you for telling me everything about you, I said. Now let's practice on controlling your anger, I said. I want you to not lose yourself when you see the color red, I said. Okay, take a look at that little boy, I said, pointing at the little red devil boy in the corner. I want you to try to stay calm when you see the color red, I said. I looked at Manny. I could see he was trying hard to stay calm, but suddenly he lost his temper and charged toward the boy. Next time I see you wearing red, you're dead! Manny shouted as he chased the devil boy. I sighed as I watched Manny chase the boy. I saw how you were teaching Manny how to control his temper, Jason said. As he stood behind me, I turned around. Yeah, I learned all those tricks from the therapist when I was a kid, I chuckled. Well, not only are you beautiful, you're also very smart, Jason said. My cheeks turned red as I blushed. Just then, Frankie, Dracula, and Claudine walked over to my table. Hey, Miss Peterson, want to come over to my dad's place? Dracula asked. Yes, she said. Yes, she said. When do you want me to come? I asked. About 5 o'clock. About 5, Claudine said, looking at her watch. Okay, I said. Good. Draculaura's dad is going to cook rat for dinner, Frankie said. I couldn't help but think about what was going on in my head. First this Montgomery Hart, now Dad yelling at Jason, then Dad now yelling at Jason, now the students wanting me to invite me over. What was going on? At the end of the day, I called Gigi over to my place and to help me get to Draculaura's house. Gigi arrived at my place a few minutes later with her lantern. Gigi, I wish for you to take me to Draculaura's house, I said while I was holding the lantern. As you wish, Gigi said. Suddenly, I was once again blinded by the bright light. The next moment, I saw that I was at none other than the Count Dracula's house. Dun dun dun! I looked at the building. I was quite terrified to go inside. I mean, I was at Count Dracula's place, and Drac himself was the Lord of the Vampires. I slowly approached the doorstep. I rang the doorbell, shivering. Ding dong, ding dong. Anyway, I thought the Count himself would open the door, but instead it was Draculaura. Oh, goody, you're here! She exclaimed. Come on in! I followed her inside. The house was actually pretty nice. So where's your dad? I asked. Oh, he had a meeting at the Vampire Council in Transylvania, Dracula exclaimed. So where are the others, and where's the rat? I asked. Actually, Miss Peterson, I brought you here to show you something, Dracula said. I followed her into a secret room. The room was a spell room. Draculaura, I didn't know you practiced witchcraft, I said. I know, it's kind of forbidden in the monster community. Even my dad doesn't like it, she said with a sad face. Oh, Draculaura, you just need to be who you are and not let anyone stop you, I said. Now can you please conjure a spell and send me back home to my dad's house, I said. Okay, Draculaura said, and then she started chanting, from here to there, wherever we roam, send my friend back home. She then zapped me and I was back at my dad's place. I was relieved to be back at home. I saw Dad standing at the front door. Where were you? He asked. I was at Draculaura's house, I said. Do you know how worried I was? I called you multiple times. Dad shouted. I knew that Jason would be trouble for you, he said. Dad, at some point I'm going to live on my own, I exclaimed. I stormed out to my room after a long day of work. I sighed and went to bed without eating dinner. Did Dad even want me to be safe? What was he so afraid of? Over the rest of September, I taught the students of Monster High humanology. I also helped Manny control his anger. Venus also invited me to the New Salem Botanical Gardens to help her and her dad take care of the plants. I wished for Gigi to make me the most beautiful dress for my date with Jason. I also helped Scara learn to be more social, and with people, and I helped Invisibility with working in this theater. I also encouraged Jackson to ask Frankie on a date, and it went well. Finally, it was October. It was almost Halloween. Everyone was decorating the school for one of the most exciting nights of the year. During gym class, I sat next to Jason. So, Jason, what do you do when you're not working? I asked. Well, I do like to watch the sunrise, he said. Maybe I can watch a sunrise with you, I said. That'd be great, Jason said. I was feeling content being around Jason. He was really nice to hang out with. Just then I saw Frankie and Jackson walking over to us. Hey, Frankie, Jackson, how are you? I asked. Well, since our first date, we've been seeing each other more often, I said. Frankie said, It's a fit. Now it's official. We're a couple. Jackson said, I'm glad to hear that from you. I said. I watched the two walk away. Later, I went to see Laguna at the swimming pool. Hey, Laguna, I called the sea monster. What you doing? I'm practicing swimming, Laguna said. It's really fun, mate. She said. Then Gil walked into the pool room. Laguna! Gil cried while waving his hand. G'day, Gil! Laguna called as she ran over to him and hugged him. I got you these, Gil said, handing him a bouquet of flowers. Oh, Gil, you're really sweet, she said. I watched as Laguna hugged Gil. I thought of how much I loved Jason just as much as Gil loved Laguna, no matter where either of them came from. Later that day, I ran into Heath. Sup, Heath, I said. Oh man, this Halloween's gonna be hot, he said. He cried. What are you doing? What are you and the Masters planning to do? I asked. Remember how we're going to the gala? Well, the guys and I are playing our new song, Heath said. Great to hear that, Heath, I said. Anyways, I gotta get to class. See you later, Heath called out. At 3:30, Jason and I asked Julia if she could send a huge text message on her iCoffin. Can you type meet me at Miss Peterson's house, 4:30? To everyone, I asked. Okie dokie, I asked her. Okie dokie, Julia said. She connected her iCoffin to her laptop and sent one enormous text message to half the students at the school. Done and done, she said. Thank you, Julia. Remember to come over to Charlie's house at 4:30, Jason said. 1 hour later, Jason and I were at my dad's place, helping him cook dinner. What are you making, Mr. Peterson? Asked Jason. I'm making the students' I'm making the students' favorite food, my dad said. Sounds yummy, Dad, I said. What did you make? I made steak, hot dogs, macaroni and cheese, hot wings, sushi, and others, Dad said. Just then I heard a knock at the front door, and I opened it and saw almost all the students outside. We got Julia's text, Slow-Mo said. And we're all here, Jennifer added. I even brought my own cookbook, Dee said. I can teach your dad how to make Greek monster fusion. It's my own creation, he added. Is it okay if I order fast food? Julia asked. Why, sure, Julia, I replied. Everyone walked inside and gathered in the living room. You know, some of us even brought our own food. Some of us even brought our own food. I brought cheese, Abby said. I brought seaweed, Gil said. Excuse me, Miss Peterson, is there any cake? Spectra asked. Why, yes, there is, Spectra, I said. Hey, I've got an idea. Follow me, cried Julia cried. Frankie, Dracula, Claudine, Jackson, and Twyla and I followed Julia up the stairs to the attic. Once we were in the attic, Twyla took out some bottles of sand from her bag. Julia, what's going on? I asked nervously. This is an experiment that I wanted to do for a long time. I want to know what happens when a human when they are sprinkled with Twyla's sand, Julia said. She wants to know what happened if the boogie sand is sprinkled onto a human, Twyla said. Boogie sand? I asked, seriously confused. My dad uses the sand to do his boogeyman work, Twyla explained. We want to know what happens to a normie if they are sprinkled sprinkled with the sand.
We want to know what happens to a normie if they are sprinkled with the sand.
Dracula said. Is it permanent? I asked. It isn't when you use another kind of sand. Trust me, we've used the boogie sand before, Claudine said. Twyla came over to me and sprinkled some of the sand on my hands. On the count of three, I want you to blow on the sand, Gulia said.
1, 2.
1, Jackson said.
2,
Dracula said.
3,
Frankie cried. I blew into the sand. I closed my eyes and the sand worked its magic. When I opened my eyes, I saw that I had turned into a purple harpy. It worked! I cried. The girls cheered and that their experiment was a success. Now we'll just sprinkle you with the human sand, Twyla said. She sprinkled me with human sand, and I turned back to normal. But I saw that the students' faces became shocked. What? I asked. Confused. When I looked at the mirror at the back, I screamed. My hair had become ice cream, and I had gained an ice cream dress. What the heck just happened to me? I exclaimed. I was getting scared. It seems like the sand's molecules may have triggered something in your body, Gulia said. Miss Peterson, relax. Look at me. Relax, Frankie said. Okay, I said, very scared. I want you to take deep breaths, Frankie said to me. I took a few deep breaths, and suddenly I reverted back to my normal state. Hey, I'm human again. I exclaimed. Now tell us, when did you get these powers? I asked. Gulia asked. I don't know. I guess I must have gotten my powers when I was still in my mom's belly, I said. Students listened to my story of how I got my powers. My parents were taking a tour around the nuclear power plants in New Salem. Suddenly there was a meltdown. Everyone got out safely except my mom. Before she could run, she was hit by these nuclear waves, and the radiation affected me when I was in her womb. Luckily, she was fine, but she knew that I would never be normal, I said. Does your dad know about this? Jason asked. No, he doesn't. He doesn't know about this, I think, I answered. Speaking of Dad, I wonder what he's doing with Jason, I said curiously. We're about to find out. Chapter 13. While I was talking with some of the students, my dad was busy hanging out with Jason. Okay, so when the filming is finished, the mummy says, "That's a wrap." That's a wrap. Jason jokes. My dad then laughs. Okay, I have to hand it to you, Jason. You are pretty funny, but I still don't approve of you, he says. Jason frowns. Little did he and Dad know that they were being spied on. Suddenly, a masked guy grabs Jason when my dad isn't looking. When Dad turns around, he notices that Jason is gone. Jason? Dad says, worriedly. When he sees the van driving away, he says, "Oh no!" Dad gets into his truck and drives off to find Jason. Suddenly, he sees me walking with Frankie, Claudine, Dracula, and Jackson outside. "Charlie, what are you doing out here?" Dad asked. "Oh, I was just talking to the schools about what they will do at the gala," I said. "Excuse me, kids. You mind if I take my daughter and I have a little chat?" I asked. "Okay, Mr. Pete," Claudine said. "So what are you doing out here, really?" Dad asked. I'm just seeing if Jason's okay," I said. "Why are you thinking about him? Do you like him?" Dad asked. I don't know, I said. I don't know, I said. I don't trust him, Dad said suspiciously. Look, I reassured him, I'll be fine living on my own. Not worried about you living on your own. I just don't think you're safe around these monsters, Dad said. Are you saying that monsters are a bad influence? I asked, suddenly angry. I'm just saying that back then monsters were a menace to human society, Dad clarified. So you're saying that all monsters are bad, I argued? I'm saying that I don't think these monsters can be trusted sometimes, Dad said. He then walked away. Saw him take out his phone and call a number. Hello, do you have a location of the location of the driver of the van? Dad asked. Yes, I have asked. Yes, I have asked Rochelle, Rebecca, Widona, and Heath to find him. This van is located at an unknown caller whose voice sounded like headmistress the headmistress Bloodgood. Sad. I have also been informed that there is a half-human, half-monster in the school. A faculty member, the caller added. Understood, Dad said. I was confused about the call that Dad made. Did he mean half-human, half-monster as in a hybrid? I also said that the hybrid was a... He also said that the hybrid was a faculty member. Jason and I were the only human members at Monster High, but I was half human and half monster. Was Jason also a hybrid? That meant that the hybrid was either me or Jason. Chapter 14. Meanwhile, Heath, Rochelle, Rebecca, and Widona found the warehouse and managed to pinpoint its location to Jason. It was foggy when they found the warehouse. I have a really bad feeling about this, he said. Come. We must keep a low profile around here, Rochelle informed. This is really making my circuits shiver, Rebecca said, scared. Yeah, let's cause some mischief. Suddenly Widona said. Suddenly the four heard the sound of the van pulling in. Oh no, it's a normie! Everybody hide! Cried the ghouls and Manster hid behind the crate near the door. They watched as the driver got out of the van and carried out a sacked Jason. On the count of three, Rebecca and I will jump in front of the door and surprise him, Rochelle said. 1, she counted. 2, Rebecca said. 3, Rochelle shouted. And the two ghouls jumped out in front of the door. What is this? Let me pass, the driver commanded. Sir, you are coming with us, Rebecca said. Yeah, I don't think I'll be surrendering, the driver said, then turned and ran. Suddenly, Rochelle flew in front of the driver and gave him a knockout punch. Heath and Widona ran out of their hiding place and took the sack off Jason. Mr. Willington, are you okay? Heath asked. I'm fine, Jason said. How did you know where to find me? He asked. I asked 4 students to track down the van you were in, my dad said, walking out of the fog. Now come on, we have to go go back to my house, he said. Okay, Mr. Peterson, Jason said as he hopped into my dad's truck. An hour later, my dad arrived back at the house with Jason and the ghouls. While the students were partying, my dad pulled Jason aside. I need to take you to what Monster High calls the catacombs. catacombs, Dad said. Okay, Jason reluctantly agreed. Follow me, Dad said. He showed Jason the secret room that I was forbidden to enter. Jason followed him through a series of tunnels. The tunnels were eventually connected to the catacombs. And after taking a few turns, Jason and my dad walked into the school and exited the catacombs. I just want to say thanks for saving me back there, Jason said. I just want to say thanks for saving me back there, Jason said. There is something I have to show. You. My dad said. Jason followed him into a room at the school. The room was dark and kind of creepy. It was also kind of dusty. Jason coughed. He looked around and he was amazed at the sight. Wow, Jason awed in astonishment. There was one thing that caught Jason's eye. It was a portrait of a woman. I've seen that woman before at the ruins of the old New Salem power plant. This town has a lot of legends. This woman in the picture has a whole legend around her, Jason said. My dad looked confused. What do you mean? He asked. It's part of Monster High's origins. Jason said. The story is that the woman and her future husband met at the park. Eventually they got married and settled down in New Salem. One day, when the woman was pregnant with her first child, she and her husband went on a tour around the power plant. Suddenly, there was an explosion. Everyone managed to escape it, but the woman was bombarded by mysterious nuclear energy. Luckily, both she and the child made it out alive. But she knew that her baby would never grow up normal. They say that the couple lived happily ever after to this day, Jason said. When I was at the power plant, I could still feel the energy that released from that explosion, he added. My dad looked down at the ground. The legend is wrong, he said. Jason looked at him confused. They didn't live happily ever after, Dad said as he took the curtain off the other half of the portrait, revealing that it was of him and revealing that it was of him and my mom. Turns out the portrait was of him and my mom. And it was no mystery who caused the explosion, Dad said. It was caused by both humans and monsters, he said with anger. Apparently, a bunch of evil humans were planning to kill off a bunch of monster protesters. I built that. They are the real evil, Dad said. Jason looked down, feeling sorry for my dad. I bought the building for my ex-wife to stop all humans, including myself, from hurting all monsters, and to make sure that every monster in this school can be themselves. My dad said, as a father, you have to do everything to make sure your family isn't hurt, he continued. But now, Charlie has feelings for you, he said. I'm sorry, Jason said. No, don't be sorry. I want my Charlie to be happy, Dad said. Hey, you want to hear something funny? Jason asked. Okay, what is it? Dad said. You are in my power. I now command you to be the mummy, Jason said, pretending to hypnotize my dad. I have too many fancy things, Dad said. Pretending to be the mummy, Jason laughed. Somebody scratched me. I'm covered in bandages, Dad cried. The two of them laughed all night, and they walked all the way back to the house. Chapter 15. Over the month of October, I was really busy. I was going on dates with Jason, I was helping Manny with his attitude adjustment, and I even wished for the guys to be on their favorite show. Luckily, Gigi was able to grant me that wish. I also wished for a new wardrobe, and Gigi granted me that wish in an instant. I even asked Toralei and her minions if they were what they were going to do at the gala. We're going to cause a little trouble there, Toralei said. That's right. That's right. We're going to turn off all of the lights, Persephone said, and we're going to sabotage the event. Meowdy finished. No, you will not, because if you do, I will make sure that all three of you won't attend the gala. Do I make myself clear? I said in a serious tone. The three were-cats let out a scared meow. Meow. The rest of the month was a blur. I taught the class about humanology. Their knowledge about humans was greatly improving. Finally, the big day came. Today was October 31st. It was the day of Halloween. It was also the day of the gala. After work, I gathered my class and gathered every dress I had, and I added this special color-changing material Dracula and Claudine gave me. The materials would change how my dress would appear depending on my emotions. After a few minutes, the dress was complete. I called Jason and asked if he would gather all of the students of Monster High and bring them to the party. I will gather all of them, Jason said happily. Okay, now, I want you to be safe at the gala, Dad said. Dad, I'm not a little kid anymore, I said. I then hugged him. I'll be at the dance in a few hours, just have fun. I turned around and then I walked out the door. Meanwhile, Jason was leading the students through the catacombs toward the Harcourt building. Oh no, mazes. I hate mazes, Manny said. Hey ghouls, I'm so excited about the gala. I bet it's going to be voltageous, Frankie exclaimed. I know, this party is going to be epic, Dracula shrieked. I can't wait to show off my fashion skills, Claudine said. You don't think all of this is all a trap, right? Gil asked worriedly. Oh, Gills, don't be such a fraidy catfish. Everything will be fine, Laguna reassured her boyfriend.
Hey, Claude, are you excited about the party?
Dracula asked. Sure, Claude answered. Let's hope the normies don't know that my hair is made out of actual snakes, Deuce said in a worried tone. Don't worry, Deuce. I'll make sure that no one knows that your snakes are real, said Cleo. I just hope that Heath doesn't expose himself, Abby said. Hey, I heard that, Heath said. Okay, everyone, we're at the entrance of the building. Now I want you all to act normal and don't try to do anything that will attract the attention of the normies, Jason said. He climbed the ladder and removed the manhole. One by one, Jason and the students climbed out of the manhole and walked onto the sidewalk. Jason got the tickets from the ticket booth and they walked inside. When they walked inside, the students were in awe. Everyone was dressed in Halloween costumes. It's amazing. It's amazing, Jennifer said. Who knew that someone could make this place look so fabulosa? Skeleton said. Hey, Jackson, you want to dance? Frankie asked. You know that no isn't an answer. You know that no isn't an answer, Jackson said. The two monsters began dancing to the upbeat music, which was Ghosts and Stuff by Deadmus 5. Hey, Draculara, Claude said. Draculara looked at him. May I have this dance, he asked.
Oh, Claude, yes,
she said. Hey, can I join you? Claudine asked.
Sure, Claudine,
Draculara said. Sweet, Claudine said. Deuce? Cleo asked. Deuce looked at Cleo. You owe me a dance, Cleo said, as she pulled him in to dance with her.
Come on, Gil, let's dance,
Laguna said, tugging on Gil's arm. Shall we dance? Someone asked Gulia. I thought you never asked, Gulia said. The two zombies then began doing the zombie dance. Iris? Manny asked. Yes, Manny? Cyclops asked. Want to dance with me? Manny asked nervously. Sure, why not? Iris said. The two danced as the song continued to play. Just then, Montgomery Hart, the president of Hartcorp, walked onto the stage. Thank you all for coming tonight, Hart said as he spoke into the microphone. Outside of the building, I had arrived at the gala. I got my ticket and went inside to find the students. Back inside, Montgomery Hart continued to make his speech. As you can see, I have brought you all here to witness the presentation of Project Supernatural, Hart continued. That's our cue, Manny said to Heath, Claude, and Deuce. The four of them went backstage and to get ready to perform. As you can see, there is a war going on in other countries, and we are losing, Hart said. Hart continued. But I found a way to make it all end. Project Supernatural will allow the soldiers to gain the powers of different monsters, which will allow us to win the war. Hart said, with power as he spoke into the mic. The audience clapped and applauded for Hart. Now, please welcome the kids from Monster High! Hart exclaimed. He then walked away. I watched the group as they began playing their song. The song was Where Did the Time Go, Girl? From that movie, Hotel Transylvania. I watched Jackson as he transformed into Holt. All right! Holt yelled. He and Frankie then began dancing to the song, and so did all the other monsters. I looked in the crowd and saw Jason. He was dancing to the music. I turned into a vapor of purple fog and headed straight towards him. Jason saw me heading towards him, then he turned back. I then turned back into solid form. Wow, you look beautiful, Jason said when he saw me in my spooky ice cream form. Thanks, I said, blushing. You like it? He asked. I love it. It's amazing, I said. I looked at him and I grabbed his hand. Soon we began dancing. Later, my dad arrived outside of the building and got his ticket and went inside. When he walked inside the party room. Some of the students came towards him. Great party, Iris said, giving Dad a thumbs up. You really have chosen the right kind, Invisibility said excitedly. Got to be the best one I've been to in years, said Sciara, who was really enjoying the party. While Jason and I were dancing, I suddenly felt something. I looked at Jason, and he looked back at me. I was really enjoying the feeling. Jason looked at me with confusion. I moved closer to Jason. I'm nervous. Charlie, I'm nervous, he said as he began sweating. Maybe it's a good feeling, I said. Well, I am an optimist, Jason said. Meanwhile, while my dad was busy dancing, Headmistress Bloodgood pointed to where Jason and I were, and my dad saw me kissing Jason passionately. Suddenly, Dad's smile faded. He ran over to Jason, pushing past the crowd of people. "How could you? After I shared the school's secret with you!" Dad shouted furiously. "But no!" Jason tried to explain. "Dad, don't worry," I said. "No, you cannot kiss anyone!" Dad exclaimed. Meanwhile, Frankie, Dracula, Claudine, and Holt heard me and Dad arguing. "Dad, I'm not 16 years old anymore. I'm allowed to be myself," I argued. "What? No, you heard what the principal said. Humans hate monsters," Dad argued back. Excuse me? What's going on?" Frankie asked. "It's none of your concern," Dad told Frankie. "Maybe we can show that humans and monsters are meant to be together?" I asked. "No, together," I asked. "No, why? No, it won't make a difference." Dad shouted. "Why? Why not?" I asked while arguing. "Because you are half monster and the school isn't on the map!" Dad shouted. Suddenly, the music stopped. I couldn't believe what Dad had said. Chapter 16. "What do you mean? It isn't on the map?" I asked. I was confused by what Dad said. What did you do?" Deuce asked. "I did what needed to be done," Dad said. "What exactly? What was it?" Cleo asked. "What exactly did you do?" Laguna asked. "Tell me," I demanded. "No, tell all of us," Gulia said. My dad gave in. I helped build the school. Headmistress Bloodgood and Dracula's father were also involved in the school building. Rebecca's father, Hezekiah, helped put it all together. The teachers helped build a portal so so Monster High could stay hidden. Dad confessed. "Please, I was in shock. Please, I only did what was best," I said. You lied to me!" I cried. "I'm sorry," Dad said, a tear rolling down his face. Suddenly, all of us heard clapping. "Oh, bravo!" Montgomery Hart said. "You revealed to everyone one of Monster High's greatest secrets." "What's going on?" Heath asked. "Just to let everyone know that I have discovered one of the school's greatest fears. It's not humans, but these beings called changelings," Hart said. Changelings are half-human, half-monster hybrids that can take the shape of anything around them. They can even take the form of not only other monsters, but also humans," Hart said evilly. "Recently I have been informed that there is a changeling in the party room," Hart added. I wasn't the changeling, so it wasn't me. Jason must be the changeling, I thought. My suspicion was confirmed when Montgomery Hart pointed at Jason. Suddenly, Jason's skin began to change. His skin became a dark gray, and his hair became blacker. "Behold the changeling," Hart said. "One more thing about Project Supernatural. In order to give the soldiers monster powers, I'm going to have to abduct some of the students of Monster High. By the time I leave the room, the long pipes will appear, capturing every monster and putting them in this impenetrable glass box," Hart said, pointing at the box near the right wall. "So I suggest you all start screaming and running," Hart said in a sinister tone. Soon every monster and human began screaming. The pipes began sucking everyone. Gilda wasn't fast enough, so she was abducted first. "Whoa! Help!" Gilda cried. "You're on your own! I'm running for my life!" she cried as she spoke to Persephone in reality. "Totally Persephone started. Not cool, Meowdy finished. Suddenly, a giant pipe sucked the twins into the box. Meow, the twins meowed. Jane tried to outrun, but she was caught by the pipe. What the heck? Jane cried. Help! Operetta cried. Operetta! Invisibility cried. Operetta! Sciarra cried. Guys, help me! Don't let me go! Don't let me go! Operetta cried. Invisibility lost his grip and Operetta was sucked into the pipe. Billy! Sciarra cried. Invisibility saw that she was being sucked into the pipe. Sciarra! Billy cried. He tried grabbing Sciarra's hand, but he ended up being sucked along with her. Finnegan tried to race out of the building, but the pipe caught up with him. It sucked him along with his wheelchair. Whoa! He cried. Slow-Mo tried to run, but he wasn't fast. Help! Slow-Mo cried. Slow-Mo! Coolio cried. Come on, Howleen. We gotta get out of here, Claude said. Come on, Howleen. We gotta get out of here, Claude said. Suddenly, a pipe sucked Claude into the box. Claude! Dracula, Claudine, and Howleen cried in unison. The pipes then sucked Rebecca. Oh, blimey! She cried. The pipe then sucked up Jennifer and Scalita. Boo-hoo! Jennifer cried. What's happening? Scalita panicked. Oh no! Gigi cried as she was sucked into the pipe. Gil screamed as he was sucked into the pipe as well. Gil! Cried Laguna. The pipes then abducted Venus. This is not eco-friendly! Venus cried. Howleen and Twyla were trying to run, but the pipes caught up to them, abducting both ghouls. This isn't happening! Howleen cried. Tell me this is a bad dream! Twyla cried. Rochelle tried to fly away, but the pipes caught up to her. Oh no! Rochelle cried. Manny tried running from the pipes when suddenly he saw Iris face to face with a pipe. Iris looked scared. She had a terrified expression on her face. Her big eye widened. Iris whimpered. Iris! He cried. Iris! Manny cried. He then ran towards her. No! He cried as he jumped in front of the pipe. Suddenly, another pipe intersected the other pipe and abducted both Manny and Iris. Manny! Iris cried. Hey! Snorted Widona. Hey! Manny snorted. Widona tried swinging from web to web, but she couldn't swing fast enough. Help me! Widona cried as she was abducted by a pipe. Spectre thought she could get away from the pipes easily, but she thought wrong. A pipe sucked and abducted her. This is not a great news story, Spectre cried as she was abducted. Toralei was also abducted. Not me, cried Toralei. Both Abby and Heath were also abducted. Not cool, cried Heath cried. Help us, Abby cried. Soon the box was taken outside. Now everyone is screaming because of Jason, who was scared and confused. Suddenly he saw me in the corner. He was worried about what I'd think of him. I walked over to him. Is it true? Are you a changeling? I asked. Yes, Jason said. He felt ashamed. I'm so sorry, Jason said remorsefully. I felt sorry for him. I then hugged him. I don't care. I love you, I said, admitting my feelings for him. Jason looked up and saw Frankie, Claudine, Dracula, Jackson, and my dad in the crowd with sad looks on their faces. Jason then pushed me away. I have to go, he said as he walked out the door. I then fell to my knees and broke down crying. My dad came over and placed his hand on my shoulder. Suddenly, I just snapped. This is all your fault! I yelled, and I then ran out the door. Everyone looked at my dad. The students were furious at him. Thanks to you, my boyfriend's gone, Laguna said. Same, Julia agreed.
I hope you're happy because you let my brother and sister get kidnapped,
Claudine said. Dracula turned her head, agreeing with Claudine. Soon, everyone started leaving the building. Frankie and Jackson gave my dad a mean look, and so did Cleo and Deuce. After that, everyone left. Only Dad was standing there. Chapter 17. That night, I was crying in the living room. I was thinking about Jason and how he ran away. I was trying to go back to sleep when I heard the TV on. I went downstairs. I think you better take a look at this, Dad said. I looked up at the TV. On the screen, I saw a familiar face. It was Jason. They had captured him. Oh my gosh, I have to go rescue him, I cried. I then raced out the door to my dad's truck. Before I got in, I sent the remaining students a text to meet me at the school. I got in the truck, started the engine, and drove off. Little did I know, Dad saw me drive off to the school. He looked out the window sadly. What have I done? He asked himself. It was 10 p.m. when I arrived at the school. I saw Claudine, Dracula, Frankie, Deuce, Cleo, Laguna, Jackson, and Julia in the coffin corridor. They were all shouting, What are we even doing? What are we even doing here? Cleo asked. I don't know, but this better not be some prank, Deuce said. I ran towards the corridor and stood in front of them. Everyone stop, I shouted. It's too late, you mutant drongo. We've already made up our minds. Laguna said, refusing to listen. I know you're mad at me, but I need you to help me find Jason, I begged. The changeling? He could have killed us. He could have killed us, Julia said angrily. I know my dad lied to me, and you gotta believe me, I begged. Jason Willington isn't dangerous, I continued. Frankie suddenly raised her hand. I really like Jason. He was a cool person to be friends with, she said.
I agree. He truly accepted my liking of witchcraft,
Dracula sniffled. He also taught me how to fit in. Claudine said. He didn't care if I was part human and part monster. He thought I really belonged at the school, Jackson said. Cleo, Deuce, Laguna, and Julia looked at each other. Even though he didn't come from royalty, he told really funny stories, Cleo said. Yeah, Mr. W trusted me even though people thought that my ability was dangerous, Deuce said.
Oi! He told me that even a sea monster could be with a freshwater monster like Gil, Laguna said. He told me that just because I'm slow doesn't mean I couldn't be smart, Julia said. I'm glad you think that way, I said. I hung out with him so many times. I paused. I closed my eyes, afraid of what would happen next. That I fell in love with him, I continued. You loved him? All the monsters asked. Yes, I answered. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go look for him, Julia said. I got in the truck and turned on the engine. The students got in after me. So, where are we going? Frankie asked. We are going back to the Hartcourt building, I said. I drove as fast as I could to the Hartcourt building. After 20 minutes, we arrived at the building. Okay, so all we need to do is get past the guard, I said, looking at the guard in the booth. I got this, Cleo said. She then walked to the booth. Name? The guard asked. My name? Cleo asked. Why don't you tell me your name? Because I am Cleo Denial. That's right, as in the denials. In one word to my father, and he will banish you into the realms of Siberia if you don't let us in this instant! Cleo shouted, acting like a diva.
Uh, uh, right away, Miss Denial. The guard said, terrified. As he opened the doors.
Come along now,
Cleo said to us.
I am impressed.
I said, leaving an impressed expression on my face.
Yeah, being a diva is like Cleo's superpower,
Dracula said as we were walking in. Deuce took off his sunglasses and turned the guard into stone. We walked inside the building. We needed to find a way to get inside the lab. This was going to be a difficult mission for us, and I was the only person who could stop Montgomery Hart.
Gulia, could you find the way Can you find the way to the lab? I asked.
I'll try, Gulia said. The zombie took out her laptop and began typing away on the clickety-clack keys. The lab is on the top floor, Gulia said. Come on, I want to teach those normies a lesson, Holt said impatiently. Patience, Holt. We first have to take the elevator. Deuce. Patience, Holt. We first have to take the elevator, Deuce said.
But it will take us forever to reach the top,
Cleo moaned. We'll need to find a faster way to get to the top, I said.
Don't worry, leave that to me,
Frankie said. I trusted Frankie. Everyone hold on to Frankie, I told the ghouls. We all held on to Frankie. Suddenly, Frankie shot sparks of electricity out of her palms and blasted all the way to the top. By the time we hit the top floor, I was shaking. Frankie, how did you manage to do that? I asked in shock. The bolts on my neck are powered by electricity, so I have the power of electricity. Frankie said. Well, that's good to know. That is good to know, I said, trying to catch my breath. Now let's go find our friends, Dracula said. I was hoping you'd say that, Claudine said. Right in front of us was the door to the main lab. We walked toward the door and then opened it. I then opened it. By the time we opened this door, the rest of the students should be in here. My voice should probably be in here. My voice trailed off. What I saw. I couldn't believe what I saw. The kidnapped students were hooked up to these strange machines. Holy moly, I exclaimed. What happened to you guys? I asked in disbelief. Mr. Hart hooked us up to these machines so he could take our powers away, Madonna said.
He said he wanted to use them to mutate his soldiers,
Finnegan said. Do you know where he took Jason? I asked.
We don't know,
said Claude. Guys, let's get them out of these things, I told the monsters. Come on, Jackson, help me free Abby, Frankie said to the normie. Don't worry, Abby. We'll get you out of here in no time, Jackson reassured. Make it fast. We don't have much time, the Yeti said. Soon Abby was free in no time. Now let's go help the others, she said. Don't worry, Gil.
Don't worry, Gil. I got you,
Laguna reassured. Everything's all right now that you're here, Gil said. Laguna laughed. Soon Gil was free. Water flooded out of the tank as he was formerly trapped in.
Help me, big sis!
Howling cried to Claudine. It's okay, Howling. I'm here, Claudine said. Hey, Gulia, can you get the code for the Claude and Howling's cages? Hey, Gulia, can you get the code for Claude and Howling's cages? Cage? Dracula asked. You said the right words, Gulia said. Soon the cage was unlocked. Claude! Dracula cried as she ran and hugged him. So, Dracula, do you want to go out sometime? Claude asked. Oh, Claude,
Of course! I'd like to go out with you.
Dracula answered. Soon she pulled the werewolf in for one big kiss. Okay, you two, Claudine said with sarcasm.
Julia, how about you unlock all the cages?
Gilda asked. Easier said than done, Julia said. The zombie typed as fast as she could. Soon all the cages were unlocked. Everyone felt so free.
Hot diggity dog!
Heath exclaimed. Man, it feels good. Feels good to be out in the open space, Manny said.
Freedom!
Jane cried.
That was epic!
Spectre cried. Free at last, Jennifer sighed.
Hooray!
Rochelle cheered.
We're freed!
Venus cried. Now let's go find Jason, I said. Sciara, can you locate the room that Jason asked? That Jason is in? Sciara closed her eyes and put her hand on her forehead. She tried to concentrate. Suddenly Sciara's eyes opened. He's in the big Jason is in the big lab. It must be where they are experimenting on him, the Banshee said. Then let's go rescue him, Operetta said. Tell us the directions on the way. On the way, I told Sciara. We then ran out of the room. As we were running, Sciara told us the directions. Take a right turn, she said.
No left.
Soon we arrived at the big lab. The door was right in front of us. Everyone stand back, Manny said. He then charged toward the door and rammed it open. Great job, Manny. Good job, Manny, Iris said. Thank you, Iris, Manny said. Alright, everyone. The more we look around, the easier it'll be to find. My voice trailed off when I saw what was in front of me. It was Jason. Jason! I cried. Soon all of the students ran toward him. Mr. Willington, are you okay? Asked Frankie. I'm fine, Frankie. Just a little tied up here at the moment, said Jason. Don't worry, Mr. W. I'll free you, Deuce said. The Gorgon then took off his sunglasses and turned the machine that Jason was into stone. The machine then crumbled. Come on, Jason, let's get out of here, I said. You're not going anywhere, a voice said from behind me. I turned around and I saw Montgomery Hart standing there, staring angrily at us. What do you want, Hart? I asked, defending myself. I want power. I want to rule the world, he cackled maniacally. Well, you can't without the students' powers, I retorted back. Oh, that is already done, Miss Peterson. I've now combined everyone's powers in this chamber, and I will use it to make me the most powerful being in the universe, Hart said. He then walked into the chamber, and it began filling up with green gas.
What?
Persephone said. Happening? Meowdy finished.
Oh my raw!
Cleo gasped. Whoa! Snowmo said, astonished. We weren't prepared for what was going to happen next. Out of the chamber was the most horrifying thing I had ever seen. Oh, bummer! Deuce groaned as he saw what came out of the chamber. We couldn't believe what the horrifying monstrosity was. It was a monstrous, hideous, mutated Montgomery Hart. This time he had brown werewolf skin, vines on his arms, and fins protruding from his neck. His eyes were all white with no irises. He had bullhorns on his head. Pieces of machinery sprouted out of his back. Hart now had 4 extra arms. He had yeti fur on his legs. His bare feet were now ghostly white. He had an extra eye on his forehead. His face had a cat's fur and he had gargoyle wings. His original hands were now made of bones. His skin was covered in dragon scales, and he had a mermaid's tail. Hart gave a big, loud roar. I am the ultimate monster! He roared. He shot out a breath of fire. We all managed to dodge it. Gigi, I wish I had a fireproof shield and make it ice-proof. I cried. But you're almost out of wishes. You wished for Claude, Manny, and Heath to be on their favorite show. You wished for Gulia to be at this year's Necrocon convention. And you even wished for your dad's truck to be fixed. Gigi said. I know, I need that, but I need that shield, I shouted. Are you sure? You're using up your 9th and 10th wish. Gigi warned me. I'm sorry, Tan, I said confused. Well, asking to make your fireproof shield iceproof also counts as another wish. Gigi explained. Okay, Gigi, grant my 2 wishes. I commanded the genie. As you wish, Gigi said. Putting her palms together, suddenly a shield made out of unbreakable steel appeared in my hand. The now mutated Hart breathed this smoky, fiery breath. I raised my shield and blocked the flames. Hey, the shield works, I exclaimed. Hart then fired a savage blast of ice from all his hands. I tried with all my might to block the ice, but the blast was too strong. Jumped out of the way. We can't stop this guy, Jackson cried. I got up off the ground. Yes, we can, I said. Yes, we can, as long as we work together, I said. But first, Gigi, I wish for Montgomery Hart to have bird-like features, I told the genie. As you wish, Gigi said. As she put her palms together, suddenly Montgomery's nose and mouth started to reform into a beak. His ghostly white feet became bird talons, and his gargoyle wings became eagle wings. Montgomery Hart screamed. What have you done to me? He roared. We completely ignored him. All right, everybody, attack! I cried. The students and I ran over to attack the evil Birdman. Frankie, zap him, I told Frankie. Frankie then fired a bolt of electricity from both her hands. Taste this! Frankie shouted. She zapped Hart, most electrocuting him. Draculaura, use your vampire powers and your witch powers, I told Draculaura. Draculaura got out her spellbook and flipped each page. Evil's bright, good's light, weaken. Evil's bright, good's light, weaken my foe all through the night, she chanted. Draculaura then released a pink gas from her spell, trapping the evil businessman in the pink mist. Montgomery Hart was beginning to feel weaker. Claudine, get him, I told the werewolf. Claudine jumped in the air and landed on Hart's head. She then began pulling his fur. Ouch, that hurts a lot, Hart yelled in pain. Theo then conjured up a sandstorm, blinding Montgomery while wrapping his 4 extra arms in mummy wraps. Laguna then began biting Montgomery Hart all around. Deuce took off his sunglasses and turned eagle wings into stone. I then lifted Gulia up and launched her into the air. The zombie then poked Hart's right eye. Ouch! Hart cried. Jackson put on his headphones and turned into Holt. Boom shakalaka! Holt shouted as he pounded his fist on the ground, causing a wave of fire to burn Hart's feet. Abby and Heath used their powers to create a smoke screen. Hart couldn't see through the smoke, and both Heath and Abby punched him once they had the chance. As a last resort, Gilda then raced around Hart. Spinning in circles, she ran around him so much that it made the evil businessman dizzy. Nothing's working, I said to Gigi. I turned to Gigi. Gigi, I wish there was a bomb in the building so that it would blow up after 10 minutes, I told the genie. Gigi looked worried. As you wish, Gigi said as she placed her hands together. Suddenly a wish watch appeared on my wrist. It was a countdown for the bomb. Soon all the students ran over to me. Miss Peterson, this guy's too powerful, Claude said. There has to be a way to defeat him, said Gil.
Come on, Miss Peterson, what do we do?
Iris asked as the students were asking me to. As the students were asking me about how to stop Hart, I got an idea. I got it! I cried. I'm half human, so if the students let me. I'm half monster, so if the students let me borrow their powers, maybe we can defeat him, I thought to myself. Everyone hold on to me! I told the students. All the students held on to my shoulders. I could feel the surge of their powers in my veins. Suddenly I floated up into the air. With all my might, I shot a very powerful blast. The blast knocked Hart out. With fiery breaths, I slowly landed on the ground. With heavy breaths, I turned to Gigi. Gigi, as my final wish, I wish for you to relieve your duties as guardian of the lantern, I commanded. As you wish, Gigi said, putting her hands together. Suddenly the lantern vanished. Gigi was free. I looked at the time on my watch. The bomb was about to go off in 3 minutes. Everybody run! I cried. Soon we all started running. We managed to escape the building in time. Soon the building exploded. Rubble came crashing down to the ground. After the dust cleared, Manny saw Iris, who was unconscious. Iris! Manny cried as he ran over to the Cyclops. Iris, please, no! I like you, I really like you, the Minotaur sobbed. I promise I'll never bully anyone again. Just please wake up, he cried. Suddenly, Iris opened one eye. Iris, you're okay, Manny exclaimed. Is that true, Manny? Will you promise not to bully anyone ever again? Iris asked. Yes, Manny. Yes, Iris, Manny sniffled. I promise. Iris looked at him. Oh, shut up and kiss me, Iris said. She then pulled Manny in for a big smooch. I felt relieved that everything was okay. But then my head didn't feel so well. Suddenly I blacked out. Chapter 20. I didn't know what happened next, and I didn't know what happened after I blacked out, and all I knew was that my head didn't feel well. When I opened my eyes, I saw that I was in the hospital. I saw my dad, Headmistress Bloodgood, and the students standing right next to me. What happened? I asked. You absorbed too much power from the students and caused your body to have a power overload, Miss Bloodgood informed me. After that, you blacked out, Gulia added. You were severely wounded, and you were dying pretty fast, Jackson said. So Jason volunteered to transfer his blood into yours in order to save your life, Leo said. I couldn't believe it. Jason saved my life? Why would he do that? After he left me alone after the party. What about Mr. Hart? What happened to him? I asked. Apparently, after the Hartcourt building came crumbling down, Hart turned back to normal. Claudine said, "Now he's being taken away to the Oregon State Penitentiary," said Invisibility added. Apparently, Mr. Hart used to be a famous monster hunter. But after the monsters went into hiding during the Great Monster Fright Flight, Hart lost his mind and went on a rampage across the United States of America, Mr. Splunkins said. Luckily, he ended his rampage after people began fearing him.
Luckily, he ended his rampage after people began fearing him,
Jackie Laura said. All this time, Montgomery never wanted to help end wars. He just wanted to hurt others. I was still wondering where Jason was. Where's Jason? I asked. He left to move away to England. England, Rebecca said. I'm really gonna miss the guy. Toralei said. Sadly, all of a sudden, I felt very sad about Jason leaving. I was really going to miss him. Chapter 21. The next day, I was discharged from the hospital. And as my dad drove me home, I had lots of thoughts racing through my mind. My friends from Monster High and my feelings for Jason had made me conflicted. I was a half-human, half-mutant hybrid now. That meant that I wasn't a real monster. I didn't go to school the next day. I was thinking about the blood transfer. If Jason's blood had transferred into my body, did that mean I was also a changeling as well? I was also part changeling now. I decided to see if I could really change my appearance. I concentrated really hard, thought about what I wanted to look like. I closed my eyes and I thought about myself with gray skin. I felt changes in my body. When I opened my eyes, I saw that my skin was gray like Jason's on the night of the gala. I couldn't believe it what I just saw. I was half human, half monster, and half changeling. After a few hours, I was back to normal, and I was still thinking about Jason. I felt really unhappy. I refused to come out of my room the entire day. Suddenly, I heard someone open the door. I went downstairs, and I saw Dad at the front door. He was sweating and exhausted. Dad, are you okay? I asked. I'm fine. He said, just tired. I looked behind him. Standing there was Frankie, Dracula, Claudine, and Jackson. Hey, Miss Peterson, Frankie said. How are you? Dracula asked. How have you been? Claudine asked. I'm fine, guys, I said. Dad walked up to me. Charlie, for a long time I thought the worst thing in my life was losing you. And now I realize that the worst thing is seeing you unhappy and alone, he said. But how am I supposed to be happy, I asked. With this, Jackson said, pointing to Cleo, Deuce, Laguna, Gulia, Abby, and Spectra. What are you guys doing here? I asked. We brought you something, Abby said. I looked at Heath, who was carrying a big suitcase. Heath looked burnt out after pulling one big suitcase. What am I supposed to do with that? I asked. It's what counts. It's what's inside that counts, Dad said. Gulia and Abby opened the suitcase. I couldn't believe who was inside the suitcase. It was Jason. You? I asked. You. I said. Jason said. I was astonished. Why are you here? I asked. Jason walked towards me. Because I'm in love with you, Charlie, he said. We told him to come here, Cleo said. I talked to Jason and found out he's actually a pretty cool guy. Dad said. Mr. Willington talked to Headmistress Bloodgood and asked if she could make your dad the owner of the entire school. Our school, Spectra said. You want to know what she said? She said
You want to know what she said? She said yes.
Dracula squealed. But why did you leave? I asked Jason. I thought that your dad was going to, you know. Jason shrugged. What? No, I wasn't going to. Dad chuckled nervously. Really, Dad? I asked. Dad sighed. You guys are awesome, he told Jason and me. I turned to Jason. I'll leave you guys alone, Dad said. He then walked out the door and moved closer to Jason. He did the